Paloma is the national drink of Mexico for a reason. It's simple, balanced, and so refreshing. But is there a way to make it even better and cheaper? Let's find out. I already showed you how to make DIY cola for the best Cuba Libre out there. And while Batanga, a mix of tequila and cola, has been gaining in popularity, I think Paloma is still the queen of simple tequila mixed drinks. So today, I'll make homemade Pink Grapefruit Soda, which is at least 8 times cheaper than what you'd pay in the store. And it will make a delicious Paloma any time of the year. I'll also show you a fizzy twist on a Hemingway daiquiri. And if you stick around till the bottom of the glass, I'll tell you how something like this can make you rich. But first, it's cocktail time. There's two schools of making a Paloma: simple or fresh. Some people just mix tequila and grapefruit soda and call it a day. Others juice fresh grapefruits and add soda water. Adding lime and salt is optional, but beneficial if you ask me. At this point, I'll remind you that grapefruits were featured in the dangerous ingredients episode, because they can interact with some common medications, so check with your doctor first. I love the taste of pink grapefruits, but they're not available year-round, so I'll show you how to make a pink grapefruit syrup that you can use to make sodas. And of course, Palomas, anytime you want. And yes, nowadays you can find quality pink grapefruit sodas in almost any store, and they're not crazy expensive. But if you can make something yourself that saves you money and doesn't skimp on quality, I think that's a very fun part of mixology. This process will be similar to making homemade orange soda, or Fanta, which we covered a few months ago. It will be quick and simple, with amazing results. Let's start with the pink grapefruit syrup. To make it, we'll need grapefruits for the pills, sugar, water, citric, malic and ascorbic acids, beetroot for the color, and rose water, MSG, and salt for the right flavor profile. First, let's get the essential oils from the grapefruit peels. When doing this, always use organic grapefruits. And since this can be even harder to come by, making a syrup like this that you can freeze and use anytime makes even more sense. In a bowl, combine 40 grams of grapefruit peels and 450 grams of sugar. Muddle the peels in the sugar and leave this to sit for about 30 minutes, but you could leave it overnight for best results. But we said this will be a fast process, which means we need a quality blender that can pulverize the peels and extract the essential oils that way. We just bought this off of Amazon. It's powerful, pretty affordable, and so far it's been great. I'll link it below. Add the peels and sugar into the blender, together with 450 grams of water, 18 grams of citric acid, 4.5 grams of malic acid, and 1.5 gram of ascorbic acid or vitamin C. This is optional, but vitamin C enhances flavors and acts as a preservative. Next, MSG. It's optional, but in the words of Uncle Roger,
MSG is the king of flavor. It makes everything better.
0.4 gram will be enough to add umami notes you get in grapefruits. For a nice floral note, I'm adding 1.4 gram of rose water. Careful with measuring. This can be overpowering pretty quickly. We still want to enhance all of the flavors with something we all use daily: salt. Add 2 grams. And lastly, to get the color right, 2 grams of beetroot powder. I'll link this below as well, since it's useful for additional color in cocktails or smoothies. Blend everything at high speed for 60 seconds. In the meantime, get your straining gear ready. I'll be using a cloth filter, which should be pretty fast. At the end, help it along with a potato ricer. I'll divide this into smaller bottles, but I'll first want to see how much we ended up with, so we can calculate the costs. We ended up with around 720 ml of syrup, which means we'll be able to make a little under 5 liters of pink grapefruit soda, which is about 1.3 gallons, or around 24 of these small bottles. Based on the price of all ingredients that went into making of this syrup, that will cost us a total of 2.78 euro. That's exactly $3. 24 bottles of something like this, which we'll talk about at the end of the episode, would cost you around 40 euros, or about $44. Even if you add the price of CO2 cartridges, which we'll need to carbonate water. A bottle of your DIY pink grapefruit soda won't cost you more than 20 cents per bottle. Save on the mixer, treat yourself to a better spirit. Plus, this is a fun process. Let's bottle them now. Into each of the really well cleaned bottles, I'm adding 1 ounce or 30 ml of our pink grapefruit syrup, then topping it up with highly carbonated and chilled soda water. Add a bottle cap, press it down hard, give it a gentle turn to mix the ingredients, add a label if you wish, and that's it. Repeat the process with the rest of the bottles, which I'm reusing from store-bought sodas, so I guess you still need to buy a few of them at first anyway, but you then have something to compare with your DIY version. With the rest of the syrup, I'll bottle it and store it in the freezer for later, before we give our grapefruit soda a try. It's nicely grapefruit forward, which I can't say for every store-bought option. But we also have a subtle floral note from rosewater. The bitter-sweet balance is spot on for drinking on its own or mixing in cocktails. It's also well carbonated and refreshing. Make sure you always have bottles in the fridge to keep it that way. Another way you could make soda from our syrup would be to use soda siphon, like this, or easy twist and sparkle. We've used both on the channel before, but we'll use the bottles to make our 2 cocktails of the day, starting with the classic La Paloma. Grab a highball glass, add a salt rim, and fill it with ice to chill it. As for the ingredients, start with 1.5 ounce or 45 ml of Blanco tequila. I'm using Mijenta, an award-winning, additive-free, sustainable tequila from the highlands of Jalisco. To that, I'm adding 1/2 ounce or 50 ml of lime super juice. As mentioned, not something you'll see in every Paloma recipe, but I think it balances the sweetness. And lastly, 2.5 ounces or 100 ml of our DIY Pink Grapefruit Soda. I'm eyeballing half of this beautiful bottle. Garnish with a grapefruit wedge, and that's it. Let's take a sip before we move on to the second cocktail, and you'll be hard-pressed to find a better Paloma, if you ask me. Perfectly carbonated, bitter, the tequila shines in this simple cocktail, and a salt rim that just elevates the experience even more. Wonderful. But grapefruit doesn't mix well with only tequila. Just ask Ernest Heminway and his Hemingway Special Daiquiri. But instead of fresh grapefruit juice, we'll make this cocktail a little lighter and more vibrant with Pink Grapefruit Soda. All the ingredients are the same as if we made the classic. A light Cuban rum, maraschino liqueur, lime super juice, and saline solution. Let's make the fizzy Hemingway. As always, I'm starting with a chilled shaker. And then, even though that's not the best practice, I'm adding the spirit first. 2 ounces or 60 ml of Havana Club 3 years. Follow that with 1/4 ounce or 7.5 ml of maraschino liqueur. This will provide a nutty and dry sweetness from bitter cherry pits. Next, 1/2 ounce or 50 ml of lime super juice for that bright citrus note. And 2 drops of saline solution to boost the flavors even more. Drain the ice, add the cocktail, seal the shaker, and shake to properly chill, mix, and dilute. Double strain into a chilled coupe glass. And make sure you have enough room to top it up with 1.5 ounce or 45 ml of Pink Grapefruit Soda. Cut a small circle of grapefruit peel, express essential oils over the cocktail, and place the peel in the glass. Might not have enough rum for his taste, but here's to Papa Doble. Cheers! The fizzy Hemingway cocktail has a wonderful zesty bitterness, with a touch of more tartness than the original, which somehow makes it even better. This perfect summer sipper is super easy to drink. With that, we've made it to the bottom of the glass. And this bottle. Now we can talk about a story of success at premium sodas. 3 Cents Artisanal Beverages was founded in 2014 by 3 Greek bartenders with an understanding of what's missing in the industry and a vision of how to fill this gap. 8 years later, they sold the company to Coca-Cola for a whopping 45 million euros, or around $48.5 million. So keep your eyes open and don't stop dreaming. And if you'll sell any of the homemade recipes found in this playlist for a few $1 million, hit me up with a cocktail or 2. Cheers, friends of cocktails.